Alrighty. So we'll just get started, because everybody, I don't know who's actually coming or not. So today's June 5th. It's our first actual director meeting, which is exciting. And I wanted just to start off with kind of hearing your guys' thoughts of what you may want out of this type of connection. Since there's more of us to talk, I'm hoping that Brittany will be able to come on so she'll be able to share her. Hi, Michelle.
I'll message her.
Oh. Are you okay? Can't hear you, Michelle. You're muted.
Hi. Yeah, I'm fine. I just, I was typing in the wrong meeting number for like 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on. Oh, that's fine. I'm just, Peyton got his wisdom teeth out today. So I've been taking care of him all morning. I have to go and get his prescription filled.
Oh.
Yeah,
I literally just typed Brittany, because Michelle, you were talking. Hey, are you gonna make the director teeth?
That's funny.
Yeah.
The director teeth.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be like, sure.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as what I would like to see out of these, it would just be more like sharing. And, just what everyone's doing. If there's like challenges we could do for our teams, like sponsoring challenges or PRB challenges or, stuff like that. I would just say more of like a connection and sharing type thing that's like maybe a half an hour long,
Yeah, that's great.
In my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Michelle.
I agree.
Oh,
I agree.
So I just wanted to share with you guys, I just started a coaching certification program through Sensi that they're offering. And I wanted to be able to share what I'm learning, obviously, with you guys. So you could be getting those different perspectives and skills and utilizing them with your coaching, with your one-on-ones. One of the things that I've been going through, like in the last couple weeks, is really looking at like the last few years and just the difference between people's organizations. And I think the real issue as far as like growth for everyone, even my team, is that the leaders, which is all of you, are the only ones that are actually doing one-on-ones and coaching. And so I think that we should maybe powwow about some ideas of how we can get our team leaders, the ones that have teams but they're not directors yet, to understand but also want to do that type of leadership. Because I think that a lot of them struggle with self-confidence of like, they probably feel like I don't even know how I became a superstar consultant or star consultant or whatever. And there hasn't really been any strategy behind it. And so they're kind of leaving all that to us. And so there's a lot of people that aren't really getting coached and one-on-one and getting that special time that they need to kind of dig deep of where they're lacking or where they need skills to be built, if that makes sense. So, I mean, do you know, I mean, I guess we can just go one by one. Like, do you guys have specific people that you know that are leaders in your team that are definitely doing one-on-ones and coaching? Have you found that in your teams, that being kind of like an area of weakness possibly, or strength? I don't know. You might have, I don't know what goes on in your team. So I'm kind of curious about that.
I don't know that my people necessarily do like one-on-one or coaching, but I know that like the people who do have teammates like help them, get them started, answer their questions, but I don't know if it's necessarily like coaching as far as like, okay, let's get you to lead, let's get you to star consultant, because I have just a bunch of leads
Mm-hmm.
and certifieds, and then I have Ashley, and then Brittany's team, like they're promoting, but they're just hustlers. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
because of coaching.
Those
So I
East
don't-
Coasters.
Yeah, so I think it's more of just they're helping each other, but I don't know if that's necessarily like
Building skill.
deliberate. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. What were you gonna say, Ashley?
For me, like, yeah, I know Brittany does an amazing job, with her team. And then I feel like the other people that are on my team, everybody just comes to me for everything all the time. How do I do this? What am I doing? And I'm like, okay, well, and I send them all this stuff in the workstation about like being a lead and next steps and everything. And I don't know, I still have people that are like messaging me at 9 o'clock, hey, how do I help so-and-so promote? And I'm like, guys. So it's definitely a weakness on my team for sure.
Okay. So I want to make sure that I understand. So you need help with, or your team does, with like not just using you as the only resource. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty here with everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Michelle?
For me, I think that I only have one person that's really working with any of her team, and that's Melissa. I think Amanda, who is my other person who actually has any sort of a team that's working, I know that she's not doing coaching. She's not doing coaching with me. She's not, so I know that she's not coaching with her team. She's just like answering their questions. They don't come to me, so they must be going to her because they're totally rocking it out. And I've talked to them, but they don't ask me questions. So they're getting their questions answered somewhere. I'm assuming it's with Amanda because it's not through me. And they're doing great. But like even last month, she was so super close to promoting Superstar Consultant, and she had no desire. Like she was just like, I'm not going to put in another order because like if it doesn't come before I go to Idaho. So like for her, it's not about the title. It's not about that. She's like, yeah, I'm just not. So she's not working with her people in order to, for that purpose, I should say. And then everybody else that's on my team, they're definitely not working with their people.
Okay. So I have a question because it just made me, this is something I just really paid attention to because I had 2 Superstar consultants promote in my frontline last month.
Right.
And the drop in commission in percentage from a star to a superstar is pretty significant from 5 to 2. And so a consultant that has no desire to really like keep going can actually be an asset for you because
and that's how I looked at it. That's why I didn't push her because I was like, that's a difference in $200 in my paycheck. So if you don't want to work, then I'm definitely not going to say, hey, push it, because I did pay attention to that.
Oh, good. Okay.
Definitely. I did the calculations and she wasn't doing anything to promote. She just had a $4,000 month. That was it. She was just having a great month. It's everything that is happening with her, like her team. She didn't ask anybody to join. They just all joined.
Oh.
So so she promoted to star with just a bunch of people that just clicked join and told her that they were going to join. So she's not an active team builder as much as she's just building a team. Do you know what I'm saying?
Falling into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's not working with her people because she's like, oh, I love my little team. And I was like, well, you're really good at it. Like, and then I kind of, at the last day she messaged me at like 8 o'clock at night and she was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to promote. And I was like, well, promoting in the fall gets you those trip points, so I was trying to like, not say, are you sure? Because I want it for her if she wants it for herself.
Yeah.
you know, on the flip side, it's that selfish side of me. It was like, well, if you don't really want to work for it, you know, hey, I could use the extra $200. So I'm not going to convince her to put in an order if that's not something she wants. You know, she doesn't want to be a superstar consultant because she wants to be a director. You know, everything's just happening organically for her.
Right.
You know, where Melissa is like, gosh, I'm just, you know, how is everybody promoting to superstar consultant? Like, she's bummed that she's not promoting because she's working so hard to promote and it's just not happening for her. So, you know, for her, I'm like, just keep doing what you're doing and working with your people. And when it's supposed to happen, it will happen when you can maintain it. And that's, you know, that's all. Yeah. So, but sorry, that's a long story. That's not even was the question, but yeah. Story short, Amanda's not working with her people. Melissa is. Nobody else is.
So what do you think that we could do to maybe we can put our heads together? Hi, Brittany, by the way. To think about what things that we could be sharing as far as or sharing or talking about, whatever you want to call it. Find out what people actually want in their businesses. Like, is there any, when you think about your teams and your people, what are some people that stand out that like, oh, once I figured this out, I was able to support them better and then actually start a coaching type relationship. Has anybody experienced that with anybody?
I think it's more if you know why they're trying to, like, their why. Like, for a long time, you know, Melissa wanted to quit her job for so long. That's what pushed her forward. And if they have that why, that strong, you know, that strong sense, and once you know that strong sense, I think it makes it easier to work with them too, because then you can, like, just help keep reminding them of that.
So how do we find that from them? How do we find out what their why is? Well,
by asking them.
Does everybody know their why?
No, for sure not.
So what are some things that we can do to try to help people find their why?
Great question.
I mean, asking them questions, just, you know, kind of to dig deep and just asking them, you know, where they see themselves in a year with Scentsy or anything. Just really just asking them questions is really, and then sometimes, I mean, honestly, if you ask me, which you are, I'm just saying, like, sometimes their why happens like for this month, you know, this month I want this, so this is what I'm going to do. I want to work hard this month, you know. Sometimes
it evolves.
Their why lasts a month, sometimes it lasts a year, sometimes it's, you know, their 10-year, I want to be, you know, but sometimes it's just like in the immediate future, what they're doing, and you, by asking them questions.
Yeah, there's this, one of the Scentsy podcasts that they're doing, the Scentsy Tip podcast. I was listening, and one of the people said about, it was, I forget her name. Anyways, there's a book that's called small consistent goals or something like that. I'll have to go back. I don't know, but apparently, like, the higher percentage of people tend to stay more like they find their motivation by those small little triumphs. And it's like, even you're a good example, Michelle. Like, when we would talk in the past, like, you'd be like, I really don't know what the big vision is, but I know what's going on. I know what my desire is right now. So I want to share this with you guys. It was a big aha for me as a consultant, as a sponsor, leader, whatever you want to call, you know, our different positions. So I have a person that would seem to be a very, like, negative person when you see, like, her posts on Facebook, and she's kind of just like, no matter, you know, you shine a light, she would flicker it off or she'd blow it out type thing. And I had this like desire to, like, just love her more, because I felt like she was struggling in some way. Like, how can somebody be so negative? How can somebody be so non-desirous to be happy, you know? Anyways, long story short, I noticed she was doing some good things in her business. So I started to recognize them. And I noticed by her responses that she was like starving for recognition. And I just happened to, it was just a blessing. It wasn't something that like I think any of us can strategize to find out these kind of details. But I asked her to go live on my page to share what she was doing. And in the background, she was trying to share about like laundry, how much, that she was sharing with people and they were buying it because she was sharing her husband's clothes stink. And in the background, he goes, F you, because she says her husband's, she's like, my husband's clothes stink from work. And the look on her face was so humiliated. And she went from like up here to like down here. And like that, I'm like, wow, she is starving for love. She is being treated like that every day. And so she needs that recognition. And I started to think like, wow, if we could only find out that little detail for each person, like I feel like I stumbled upon that. Like that wasn't something I wish that I had to see. But it was what made the total difference in this lady relationship with me and her, and knowing what inspires her, because what inspires her is the, like, am I going to get a charm? Am I going to get a certificate? Is my name going to be read? And that was like to build her confidence. And she went from, like a lead consultant to superstar consultant in just a couple months. And her sales went up tremendously. And so I guess what I've been trying to like really figure out is like, if we put specific time together and say, okay, this is my day to literally connect with my front line. And sometimes, as it gets bigger and bigger, obviously it's hard to do that, but really pay attention to the details of people's actions. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've never been that detailed to like really break things down. I've always just been like pulling reports, who's, top sales, and just kind of like recognizing the obvious. And once I started to break down, like paying attention to people and saying, oh, wow, they went from being a $200 a month person to, 600, and like just asking them like what changed has made a big difference in the relationships that I've had that I didn't have before. And so I'm wondering if you guys have experienced anything specific that has helped you like with a breakthrough with, a certain consultant that maybe you never thought about before that really helped you with being able to connect with other people. Does that make sense? Is my question clear, or am I like, I know I'm rambling a little bit. I always do that. So,
I feel like for me, the people who know what they want are the people that I have relationships with, and the people that like Ashley and I talk, Brittany and I talk. So like Brittany the other day, when she got her first director paycheck, was like, holy crap. Like this is almost what I make 2 weeks at work. If I can, if she can double that or triple that, she can quit her job and stay home with her kids. So I don't think I'm not intentional about like looking at people's like to that extent, but I think just the people who are the hustlers are also the people who I have relationships with anyways. So I don't know that I've necessarily like dug down deep for them to like figure out their why, but I think I'm not necessarily being like deliberate and reaching out to every single person. Does that make sense?
It does. And that's where I was. And I realized that like, oh, because you just said that it's true. Like the people that are going to move and shake and be rock stars are going to do it whether we're around or not. And so I'm like, what if I spent more time on the people that they may not be rock stars, but they're being consistent enough that if we recognize those people for what they're doing, would it make a difference if, we ask them what they're doing, and then just having that connection with us, we might be able to shine some light. Like how many times have you said something to a consultant, they're like, oh, I never thought about that. Like, it's like an obvious action that you think like, okay, you haven't been doing this you've been in Scentsy for like 4 years, and okay, but you're like this, like, oh, to them. But so like, I'm thinking like all these like consistent people that we need that are hobbyists, they're not looking to be directors or anything, but like if we had connection a little bit more, maybe it would bump their volume a little bit more, or maybe it would give them a little light bulb of like, oh, I guess I could, you know, sponsor my mom who buys $500 every 3 months for me, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
I feel like before I had Gemma, I had I don't even know where it is, to be honest, since we've moved, but I had a binder with a sheet for each teammate, including way down line. And when I would take, you know, my handicapped friend to her therapy, I would go through and I would text every single person. And I did see a difference in like retention and people sharing on our page and stuff like that. But it's definitely something that I need to figure out time for. So, but when I was intentional like that, I did see a difference. But then at the same time, like, I also see that like our team, even though we're not necessarily growing as much as we used to, like our group wholesale volume is like triple what it was last year, you know? So I think like Ashley's stepped up and Brittany has stepped up. And so the people who I was trickling down and talking to are being taken care of. And I at least have the time and energy to focus on my front line because I know that everybody else is taken care of, you know?
that's an
So
awesome
maybe that's why it's not like a pressing thing for me right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's growth in itself. That's a great accomplishment to feel that you're not the only one that actually cares about their team and that other people are taking care. I can attest to that it's amazing feeling. Does anybody else have any thoughts that you want to share or ideas? Hi, Brittany.
She said our kiddos' molars are coming in, so it's just kind of a disaster right now.
Oh,
Oh no.
interesting. Okay. Well, I'm gonna mute you, Brittany. So if you want to come in and talk, just unmute yourself, okay? Or you know what? Mute yourself on your phone so you can unmute yourself if you want to say something.
I think she said she had it on speakerphone because she wanted to kind of listen and help with the kids, so she might not be right by her phone right now.
Oh, okay. That's fine. So one thing this doesn't have to do with team members, but this has to do with customers that has helped me find new team members. So I wanted to share this with you guys. So, and you guys probably have all this set up and I'm just new to the game, but I've never had I'm a very visual person. And so I stopped, I don't know when, probably 3 years ago when everything else stopped. I stopped doing like a spreadsheet so I could see visually like when people were ordering all in one place, not just on my workstation, but like, you know, how much they ordered and what I sent out to them. And, you know, so I could see a track of their, like an actual, like a trend of when they order and how many mailers do I send out until they actually reorder. And so I've been doing this for about 2 months now, that's it. And I've already seen a track of like more reorders than normal than they were before. And then also I found somebody that she's actually hosting right now to become a consultant. And it's somebody that slipped through the cracks because I didn't have anything in my face. And I found for myself that's like, as much as I want to do the apps and the, you know, use the workstation, like I physically have to be doing it so I know what's going on. And I was wondering if like any of you have struggled with really like knowing what works for you in any area. Is there any area that you guys feel like, oh man, I really feel like I'm struggling in this specific area, and if I could figure out what works for me, I feel like there would be a significant difference in your business, because that's what I just found in this area. So I wanted to share that and see if you guys have experienced
I
that.
was kind of like that, not really in terms of like customers, but with my team. Like I would do like, birthdays and anniversaries, and then our Shooting Star Take Two challenge that we do. And I would have this stuff written down like all over the place. I only have like everything in a notebook where everything is like on 1 or 2 pages, and I check off every time I send something. Because sometimes I would send a postcard and then I'd be like, was that this month or was that last month? Like, I don't even know. So just like, I'm the same way. I have to have it on my pen so I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Like it took me forever to figure that out, that I was that person. Because so many times I'm like, especially because you got kids and you're running around and you're like,
Yeah.
stop at the post office really fast, and then you forget that you even did it. You're like, did I mail those?
Right.
And so once I started logging everything with all my customers and then my team members, I still was not consistent. I was better with that, but I still would like not write, like if I stuck a little something extra in there, I'd get like oh, thank you for my this, and I'm like, what is it? Like, what did I send you? And I feel bad. So like I realized, I'm like, okay, Jess, you need like very specifics in order to
Yeah.
like what's going on. So that's cool that you found that too. Did it make you feel more confident and like
Yeah, it made me feel like I actually had my life together a little bit, because I knew that I mailed those and I still needed to mail these, and yeah.
I didn't think I was as I didn't think I was the kind of person that needed to be as organized as I am, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you. And I'm maybe
I
just
used to be fine, and then with kids, it's like everything's a free for all, and it's like, who knows anymore? I don't know.
Yep.
For me, it's not necessarily the system to use, but it's when am I going to implement that system? Like finding the routine in order to figure out when, like, because I've been fairly consistent with following up, whatever. And I started in November, I started a customer mail out, which has really helped because now I track it on a spreadsheet, and that has definitely helped. Maven, not so much. I don't use that at all. But for me, it's the routine of actually doing it. Like I have the stuff, I know what to do when I do it, but when am I going to do it? That's where I struggle, is the routine of when to implement.
So I do have a question for you, Michelle, because you've been the most like one of the people, like from the second you started Scentsy, you've been so good at follow-up. Like I've been meaning to ask you, like when it comes to your customer follow-up, are you just like all day long, or whenever, are you like just whenever you can you do it and it just all month long and it just happens to get that result? Or do you have, is there anything that you do that's pretty like that's what you do? Like I know you wake up in the morning, you have your coffee and you read a little bit. Like what about the like your follow-up? Is there any type of system as far as timing wise that you do it?
I wish I could say yes. I wish I could say that I have, like I do in my brain, I have business hours, but I feel like the last 4 months, especially since March, everything's been kind of mushy. So like I look at my PRV and I look at all those numbers, and I will tell you that I haven't been as consistent with following up the last 4 months. And I'm getting the orders anyway because people are reaching out to me. I am doing my customer mail out. I am doing all of that stuff. But because I'm doing that and I'm not necessarily reaching back out to them all the time, they're reaching out to me. So yes, I kind of do it all day, every day, but that's because that's when they're texting me. But I don't have on Mondays. I mean, I used to do that, but with like the kids being home and like this perpetual summer break, I haven't really been able to implement that. And ever since, I've been trying to figure out that routine, but I can't. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. But I used to have like Mondays was follow up. Sundays, Fridays, you know, 'cause, I mean, you know, I would put orders in every Sunday and that's what I would be consistently doing. But now I don't know if it's because the volume of people, I can't wait till Sundays always, you know, and things are shipping out so slow. I don't want to hold orders for 3 or 4 days because I don't want them to have to wait an additional 3 weeks because I didn't put the order in on Wednesday. I put it in on Sunday, you know, so I'm trying to, that has kind of like wrecked my routine a little bit too.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, I know I could relate to that. I mean, every summer, the one thing I finally, I don't know when, but I had to finally like go, okay, every summer, my routine that I think I have is going to be shaken a little bit. And as long as we do our best and try to, you know, focus.
That's definitely, I mean, I've learned to come to terms with summer break. I haven't learned how to come to terms since March 18th. Like it hasn't ended. And it seems like every day something different is happening, you know, like this is opening. So now this has to change and this is happening. So now this has to change. So now it's like everything is changing constantly. And the only thing that I could say that stays consistent for me is that I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I have my coffee and I read. And then after 7 o'clock, it's a shitstorm. That's just what happens. Like,
Well, I think we're like in survival mode right now.
I feel like that big time.
Like cooped up in the house, like, you know, you're not going to the gym every day like you were, you're not doing this. And so I think like we're in such like a limbo that the idea of trying to have any type of system or
Structure. Yeah.
consistency is like just not even on your radar. Like all I do is if JC's home, I come into my office for like 4 hours. He's on dad duty and I get done my time sensitive stuff, my postcards, my recognition. You know, I'm always late and I've come to terms with that. I might be posting about April and June like I did this month. You know, but it's like I think we're all just like doing the best we can, and as far when life goes back to some type of normal, you know, systems and doing what you used to do, Michelle, will be like less overwhelming. But I think just right now it's
Totally.
like
Well, what I'm finding too is that like the routine of taking the kids to school and going through that motion, that was putting my brain into, okay, it's time to work mode. You know, they're at school. I have from 9 to 2, you know, this is when I work. And that was putting my brain into let's get stuff done, you know, but now, you know, one's waking up at 9, another one's waking up at 12, another one's is waking up at 3, and, you know, and all this, like everything is all kind of discombobulated, and I don't have that switch in my brain, like, okay, it's time to get to work because the kids are at school. You know, it's like that routine of taking the kids to school was what got my brain into work mode, I think.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. We just had a little family council the other day, and because I moved my office downstairs, most of you know, which means I'm like, thank you. I'm like, you know, at their exposure even more. And so what I said is that like, I have to have like my 4 hours, like Lauren said, with no interruptions. And so what we did is like, I think my whole family, which makes it helpful for us that we're all visual. So we made a little calendar, and because the kids needs exercise and all that, like we put a point that like that we all have to wake up at the same time, and then we'll all take a walk together. So I know my kids are getting exercise, and then they need to read a little bit for 30 minutes, and then they need to practice their instruments for 30 minutes. And so they see a schedule so they can keep that clock going. And then while they're doing that, I have my time. And then they understand that they have like free time. And I know it's different because like that's working for me, but like you have a 18-year-old, which is different, you know, like, so like I have still the age that I can say, get your butt up and this is what's happening, you know? And then Ashley and Brittany have little ones. So like, right. You know, there's like, and you really, as long as we can somehow find what's working for us for now. That'll
Yeah.
like, keep our peace. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I feel like the people that struggle the most is when they're trying to control something that's not possible.
Control.
You know,
For
like,
sure.
so it makes me happy to hear that everybody's kind of like in that place of like acceptance of like, this is what it is, and this is what I'm gonna take advantage of what I have, and you know, not stress about what I can't. So
Sure.
I'm curious what Brittany thinks, but I know she probably can't respond. Anyways, so I just like hearing what's going on with you guys. I think that's important for all of us to kind of, one, know that we're all kind of dealing with the same thing in different ways. And I'm really, to be honest with you, I'm really excited about this program because I've already, in my first day, you guys, I realized where my weakness is. When I don't determine whether it's a coaching call or a mentoring call. And so what I learned is that finding out what their intentions are, if they need mentorship or if they need coaching. And what I didn't understand, even I guess I did, but I need to hear it this way to really, I guess, process it and receive it, is mentoring is specific questions they ask that there's a specific answer. Like, you know, I don't know, what's a perpetual reward? You know what I mean? There's a specific answer to that. But my weakness is always trying to move into mentorship of trying to, because my heart wants to help. And so if I have experience with it, I want to share my experience thinking that that's going to help them, but it's not necessarily going to help them. And that's something I really need to work on. And I realize that I may have, with even you guys, slowed your, you know, wasted your time, one, and slowed your growth because I'm asking questions possibly that, you know, really aren't relevant or needed. And then I always move into mentorship, you know? So I feel like, because obviously I'm not blind, I notice that there's people that are popping directors out there, you know, what's every 5 seconds, you know? And I'm like, okay, so I have to admit they're doing something that I'm not, and they understand something that I don't. And most of those people are really strong coaches. And so I guess I just wanted to kind of talk with you guys about, that's why I wanted to bring up this course, is that I want to be able to each week, well, probably, I don't know, I wanted to ask you, do you want me to share what what's giving to me each week? Because it's a 6-week program. Like via Facebook Live on our director page, or do you want me just to kind of give you a recap one-on-ones, or do you even care? Like, do you even want to know? Like, you know what I mean?
I think sharing
I
to the
definitely
director
care. I'm
page
sorry.
would.
No, go ahead.
I think sharing on the director page would be helpful because
Okay.
then we can kind of watch it, because we all have such different schedules and lives and kids, and I think one place that we can go and like look, and we don't have to remember to do a one-on-one, or you know, or you know, when is it your precious time. So I think on the director page, for me personally, if you could share on the director page, you know, that would be easier for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. And I guess, because I know Brittany had to leave, and then so I guess if she's watching this later, if she wants the one-on-one, like what can happen is that I mean, I'm happy to do one-on-ones with any of you guys. If you have specific questions about the coaching that I'm learning or whatever, we could do that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I'll just share each week what we were talking about, maybe the highlights, and hopefully there'll be something in there that like will help you guys with what you're doing with your teams. Yeah. Because I honestly, I really feel like that'll really make a difference in all of our teams, all of our organizations, that if we could be, because I will tell you, whenever I've seen a lot of growth is when there was a lot of one-on-one going on. And it's not necessarily I was coaching correctly. It just means that there was connection and of some sort. And if we can add skill to that on top of it, do you know what I mean? one thing I've always known, I just never understood how to make that work, is that what I've noticed is, and I'm sure you guys have too, I hope, that people tend to like learn things more when they're the ones discovering it. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could tell them do this, 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 and this, but until they're actually interested in learning it and they discovered or on their own, they have the aha, that's when it really processes. And so that's why coaching is so powerful, is because the human in us like gets motivated because, whoa, I discovered that, I learned that myself, and it makes them kind of want to keep moving forward, instead of saying like, oh, you know, Ashley taught me that, you know, although some people do like that mentorship and need it. But I think when the empowerment happens and leadership, the leadership becomes developed when they're discovering these things about themselves, if that makes sense. That's basically what I learned from coaching, and it made sense to me.
Well, and plus they're more receptive when like they're discovering it when they're ready to discover it.
Yeah.
That's basically when they're receptive. It's just kind of like a good example is I shared an FAQ like in 2017, in September 2017, one that I shared with Lauren, of like FAQ with joining. And I posted on our team page, you know, and I talked about it, and like nobody like said anything, whatever. Totally fine. It was just there for information. And then when Lauren and I did a program about a year ago, she posted what I do, and it was like my exact FAQ. And a couple people that on my team saw it, and they're like, oh, that's the best thing I've ever seen. Like, dude, I literally posted this on our Facebook page like a year ago, but they didn't look at it because they weren't ready to, like, that wasn't part of their business at that time. So they probably saw it and like, yeah, okay, but they weren't sponsoring actively. So it didn't like even matter to them at that point. So, I mean, just little stuff like that, you know, when they're ready for it, you know.
I think what you're saying is making me think that if we can like help people feel accomplished to a level of even just they're happy where their business is and they're receiving something from it, because the people that aren't pushing, or I hate that word, but you know what I mean, like actively putting intention in their business, they're not really receiving anything out of it, so they're not losing anything. That's why they don't care. So if we could do enough coaching with people that maybe we've never coached before, even just to find what that small little something would be to make them do just a little bit more, you know, our business would be growing this much more. And, you know, we'd also be getting that retention, because,
Sure.
you know, it's easy to drop something that you've never really got anything out of it. But if they are like, oh, every month I get my $100 paycheck, you know, or whatever. And I just notice it with myself, is I've always I think just because I never could in my brain handle more than the people that were actually working. And so it's really exciting to kind of look and go, wow, there's actually all these people that click join for something. Do you know what I mean? And if we could kind of start from scratch and just say, hey, I'm taking time to like just go through my team and kind of figure out where you're at. If it's different from when you started, is there anything that we could talk about that may make your picture of Scentsy look different? You know, how much would that truly make a difference in our businesses? So
Yeah. And the people that are looking for that type of connection will respond to you, you know.
Right.
But I mean, like, for example, I kind of did that. I mean, you know, my relationship with Bonnie for 4.5 years has been like once every 4 months religiously, you know, it was every 3, now every 4. And so I really wanted to pick her brain about what moved her, like, what is she, because she doesn't have a website, she doesn't do anything, but she places an order on the last day of the month once every 4 months. So I wanted to ask her, like, what do you do? You know, like, are you like collecting orders? Like, what does your business look like during that month that you're trying to be active? You know, and I was like, hey, could I pick your brain? I have some questions for you. And then she like never responded. And so I was like, okay, well, she does okay. You know, so, but like you do, but it's important to know what makes those, like those people, your hobbyists tick. Like, what is it that they do? Because those are the people that are filling in your cracks, you know?
I have an aunt, I think most of you know, that's been with Mary Kay for like 35 years.
Huh?
I asked her, like, what is it that's kept you around for that long? And because I mean, obviously we all want the people hanging around in our business for 35 years, you know what I mean? So I'm like,
For
what
sure.
could be happening, finding out? And it was just she liked the freedom of that she gets to choose, you know, that nobody's pressuring her. She likes the product, she uses it, it's important to her. And so obviously there's a truth to, you know, getting people on board that love the product that much. But then there's another side of people that, you know, like I have a consultant that's done fairly well with her business, but she can do without the product. Like she's like, it's okay, but if I don't use it again, I care less. I'm like, wow. So like what the heck drives her is that she likes to be constantly like growing in some way, and Scentsy gives her that. So it's so interesting. And I feel like we could either like go crazy of like how everybody's so different, or we could just kind of like focus on one person at a time and just say like, okay, this week is going to be all about this person in some way, you know, putting an effort into them. And if they don't respond back, like you said, they may not even answer our phone calls or texts or whatever. And then at least we know we could be checking off the box that like we're slowly moving towards talking to everybody, you know what I mean, that wants that connection, which is really neat. Okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say real quick. I will say that that is one thing that I do use Amy for, is I do use Amy for the team side of it, checking in with my frontline. Not my customers, but mostly my people. So
That's helped me. I've had way more connection with my frontline since I've been using and it was a real big aha of like, oh, that didn't take as long as I thought it would to go through all my, you know, like, and I was like, wah, 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 you've been telling your many people, and, you know, and when you say like half of them don't even respond, but then other people are like, oh my gosh, thank you for thinking of me. And I'm like,
right.
well, thank you for responding. Like,
right.
you know. Okay, so because I know we went a little bit over, we want to stick it to 30 minutes. I just wanted to share, do you all understand what I'm doing? I know you don't know the training, but like, do you understand how the leadership program is being set up? Like, was it clear enough?
I literally just, for some reason, saw the invite last night.
Okay.
So all I've seen was the post that you made that there's no lives, and it's just the homework on,
I saw
what'd you
that.
say, Sundays? And then the,
Oh, sorry.
but I need to go look at it.
I don't. Yeah, if you know.
Okay, I just
don't.
want to make sure you guys are the most important people. So in case people come to you and they don't come to me for some reason. So every Thursday at by 10 a.m. Pacific, I'm going to be posting a training in the unit. And then they have until the following Tuesday at 5:30 Pacific to post their homework in the unit. So it's all in like one spot. And basically it's the different subjects are listed in the, well, here, let me just tell you what they are. So one's like goals, that's the first one, goals and consistency. The second is, oh gosh, I don't remember. Let me see my little list here. And of course I have, oh, I know where it's at. It's right here. Hold on, I have it in my little Evernote note. That's where it's at. Let me just pull it up.
Oh, I didn't even see that you posted that video.
Oh, that's okay. I just posted it before we came.
Right, an hour ago.
Yeah. It was literally just right before. Okay, so I just want to give you guys an, okay, so the first one is going to be the goals and consistency. The second one is preventing burnout and unity and giving gratitude. The third is planting the seeds of leadership, tough love with difficult downline, lighting the fuse under your team, and how to plan team meetings. Don't gamble with compliance and marketing and branding. And then the 6th week is basically where are you now? So that's why it's live I'm asking for the people participating to come on live just so we can have some interaction at the end of like, oh, wow, I learned this, or I had no idea about that, or this is what happened in my business, you know, or they can tell me that they learned nothing. I don't know, but I just want to, I want to like have some type of an interactive at the end. And I made it like a mandatory, like if you're accepting this, you have to say that you're going to be on live that one day. And then people that absolutely couldn't be, they had to email me saying why. And most of them, it's only been 2, is because they work during those hours, which is fine. So it's going to be recorded anyways, but the people that actually follow the directions are the ones that are going to get the email of the recording. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to kind of show an example of like, if you're going to step into the across the line of actually a business that you can rely on a certain income, you have to also, you know, be able to treat your business like a business as far as like following directions and showing up for certain mandatory things. Because I think the biggest struggle I've seen with most consultants is they just don't cross that line. They just, they can't process that the business that they run for themselves, that there's still things you have to commit to in order to make the money that they hear about and that they want to make. Like there's definitely a line that has to be crossed, you know? So I'm hoping that I got a lot of responses, but you guys all know those things start out with a ton of people and like they dwindle down over the program, but we'll see. And then you'll see all the trainings if you want to, you know, just so you know what your team's, you know, receiving. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Cool.
Any questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you guys. I know this one was a little bit longer, but it's because we were trying to figure out what we really, but I love the sharing part because I like hearing what you guys are doing. And then, so yeah, I'll just post every week after my weekly thing with the coaching. I'll just post my notes and my, what I learned. So maybe that'll thanks, ladies. It's nice to see your faces.
Perfect.
See you guys later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.